It was back to work at the end of a difficult week. John Champion is the commentator.
It's with relief as much as relish that the Elland Road regulars greet their favourites. But for the skills of an airline pilot in the early hours of Tuesday morning, this Yorkshire derby would not have been taking place. Each Leeds player has a tale to tell. Most are grateful just to be here. Air accident investigators will interview them all at training on Monday. They'll also pay a visit to another of those endangered. Norman Hunter made his name endangering the legs of others. As a former Barnsley manager, he's one of the few in attendance here allowed to have divided loyalties. Another is David Weatherall, a Barnsley fan in a Leeds team that shows a change of shape, prompted by Alfie Haaland's withdrawal overnight. So it's three at the back, and Harry Kewell returns to partner Jimmy Floyd-Hasselbank. Rod Wallace is injured. Barnsley field the side that lost to a late goal at Blackburn in midweek. They too have had recent traumas to endure, but none of last week's miscreants are suspended until next Saturday. They'll be hoping Ashley Ward scores, because of his 9 goals this season, 8 have led to victories. These clubs are separated by as many points, 17, as there are miles between these Yorkshire citadels. A near-capacity crowd at Elland Road, and although the sun is out at kick-off, don't be deceived, because there's been plenty of morning rain, and areas of the playing surface here are very soft. Something that today's match referee, Keith Burge, had a close look at prior to kick-off. It's going to be difficult on this pitch, because in certain areas the ball will skip on, and in other areas, notably on the near side, it's going to get stuck on occasions. Lucky bounce to Hasselbank, and here's Harry Kewell. It's promising, this, for Leeds, very promising, until Watson manages to get some part of his body on the ball and gives away the first corner of the game. Won by Kewell, conceded by Watson. Ian Hart lining this up. A whole host of Leeds players converging in the middle. Here's Weatherall. And the header out was by Ashley Ward. Kewell. He's predominantly left-footed. Ashley Ward couldn't control it. Instead it's Ribeiro. Kewell. Hasselbank calling for it and getting it. Lovely back heel. Ribeiro! Credit to the Barnsley captain, Neil Redfern, for tracking back with Ribeiro. And he did just enough to make the angle difficult. Lovely build-up play from Leeds. Eden. Giving away to Bowyer. Hasselbank. And Ribeiro. He's got willing runners ahead of him. Interception by Scott Jones. Hasselbank. And still Hasselbank. And some alert goalkeeping by David Watson. Because as Hasselbank managed to head it, Bowyer was lurking. Bozancic away from Bowyer. Christoph is waiting for the pass, but Bozancic fancies it himself. "20 minutes gone, and the first sortie of many from the dugout. Jones' clearance came off the back of Barnard's leg. Kewell. Looking for Haller, and it was a good brave header behind by Bullock. No contest in terms of height, but he got some good spring. Ribeiro to take. Weatherall's header unchallenged. Hasselbank! A rueful smile from the scorer. But sad to say, it was one of the sloppier pieces of defending you'll see from a set piece in the Premiership. Look at the space afforded to Weatherall, and equally to Hasselbank. David Watson left completely unprotected in the Barnsley goal. Barnsley pay the price for some abject defending. And here's Kewell. Oh, almost into the path of Hasselbank once again. Ribeiro, Kewell, Haller. Kelly's available on this near side. And here's Kewell. Huge gap opened up for Harry Kewell. Goalkeeper stood his ground. Plenty of movement from Leeds. Too much for Barnsley to cope with, perhaps. Good stop by the keeper. He now waits for the corner. The last corner brought a goal. That too was taken by Ribeiro and headed by Weatherall. Kewell. Molinar came to him too quickly. Kewell's header. Well, if you're the goalkeeper behind this defence, you're sure to have an interesting time. And in fairness, David Watson has acquitted himself well this season. Haller. Hasselbank. Holding back by Jones. Well, the Leeds players are ambling forward, but there's no great urgency. Leading by a goal to nil, why should there be? This is Kelly. Bowyer. And now Hasselbank, it's fallen nicely. Decent reflexes from Watson, because that was struck with power by Hasselbank. Ribeiro. Towards header. Christoph. Well, it came off Haller and Hasselbank was 5 yards offside. Still time for a last-minute wager before the off at Aintree. Barnard with it, towards Ward. And the referee looking for guidance from his assistant on this near side. Unsure whether it should be corner or goal kick. In fact, the assistant said that the ball hadn't gone out of play. Redfern. Good tackle by Bowyer. Took the ball very cleanly. And then releases Harry Kewell. And Barnsley haven't picked up Hasselbank. All it needs is an accurate cross. There it is, and that should have been the second goal. Well, he's a Dutchman who used to play in Portugal, but whichever country's miss of the season competition he wishes to enter, he's just won it. Set up to a tee by young Harry Kewell. He was stretching, but even so, as they say in football, his granny probably would have scored it. Christoph. Ward. Barnard. It's the angled pass looking for Christoph, who's got there and has scored! Barnsley's first clear chance. And if the marking for the Leeds goal was poor, so it was again for the equaliser. Barnard's ball from deep. Molinar was the defender who might have got there but didn't. And what a calm, collected finish from the Macedonian Georgi Christoph. Molinar always struggling and turned away, I think, knowing his fate. His expression never changes, but he must have been through every emotion in this up and down season. Well done, Barnsley, for being level at half-time. Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank will go off with mixed emotions, having put Leeds in front and then missed an absolute sitter. The sort of miss for which that descriptive term was created, and then in the closing moments of this first period, the long ball floated in, and Christov's very calm volley pulls Barnsley level. They've not had so much of the play, but they've got a share of a level scoreline at the midway point of this Yorkshire derby. The first half didn't always produce the amount of passion you would expect from a local derby, despite the slippery conditions which you would think were made for sliding tackles and the like. Barnsley will be mightily heartened by the way they soaked up so much pressure. Frankly, were outplayed for long periods and yet still a level. And here's Ashley Ward. They have such abundant spirit in the side that anything is now possible as Ward wins the first corner of this second half. Bullock thought about taking it quickly, but we'll get the more considered version as Morgan waits from Neil Redfern, who delivers these well. Almost onto the head of Jones. Back in by Eden and Morgan. And a first touch for McPhail, and a good one. Kuehl forward, and the offside flag goes up against Jimmy Hasselbank. George Graham has moved down to the bench now. He spent much of the week saying that he doesn't expect his players to be affected by the shenanigans at Stansted. Easy for him to say. He took the tube home from Upton Park. Christoph lost it to Weatherall. Bullock won it back, and Christoph has it back. And he seems to have more appetite for this game, having scored a goal in it. And still he's charging on. There were signs towards the end of the first half that Barnsley might be thinking of replacing Christoph at half-time. Then he scored the equaliser, and now he seems to have got the bit between his teeth. Redfern, as ever, with the set piece. And Jones trying to force it in. Well, the referee has given a goal kick, which means that Jones lofted the ball over the bar from virtually beneath it. All sorts of difficulties for Leeds. Hasselbank. Haller is foremost amongst those in the box, and there he is. And there's Eden, and McPhail! And Hart with the miscue. There's a good opportunity, though, for 18-year-old Stephen McPhail. And I think he knows it. Haller's header on. Bullock and Eden got in one another's way, and it was decent goalkeeping once more by Watson. It's not the first time that he's been the last line of defence for Barnsley. And the referee belatedly has given the free kick. Robert Molinar. Well, that's a good ball. It's Hasselbank. His first touch wasn't the best. And it was that forced the hasty finish. Had he controlled it first time, he would have had a very presentable opening, rather than a tight one. Christoph. Ward's in the centre, so's Morgan. Christoph will do well to deliver it, which he has. It's Ward. Now, can he turn? He could, but he couldn't beat Martin. And immediately Martin bowls it out to Kuehl, and the Leeds counter-attack is on. And surely that must have been offside against Haller. Maybe not. Haller goes on, and Watson saves the day yet again for Barnsley. Well, Eric Winstanley, the Barnsley coach, is off the bench hollering at the linesman on this near side and insisting it must have been offside. Haller made the run and seemed to be onside, but as for Hasselbank, he was definitely off. Play goes on. Hart. Hasselbank. Kelly is well forward, flags up. This time the flag did go up. Spotted a little late by Keith Burge, who's now given the free kick. Wilson is laying down the law in no uncertain terms. He's saving a few words for the referee's assistant as well. Haller. Was caught by Redfern. Eden's kick. Molinar took it on the chest. Kuehl deflected upwards, headed from Eden, and then an awkward bounce, and Hasselbank seemed to pull back Scott Jones. Again, nothing given, and the save from Watson was excellent. It foiled initially Kelly, and then on the follow-up Hasselbank, and a little shake of the hand from the Leeds striker. Did very well to regather, and nearly lost his head in the process. First chase for Marcel. It's fruitless. Kuehl trying to get round Morgan. He was stuck with him. Morgan is only playing his 13th first-team game for Barnsley, but it doesn't show. Hart's corner. Oh, and an own goal by A.D. Moses! Poor chap. It was the most forceful of headers, but straight into his own net. And that's less than brave Barnsley deserve. Leeds have had the better of this game, but if that is to be the deciding goal, then it's a cruel, cruel way to lose a game. At this stage, it looks rather like it. Referee Bird just been called across by his assistant on the far side. He's obviously spotted something that Keith Burge didn't. And it's Christoph who's been called across. And there are one or two looks of mystification on the Barnsley players' faces. It's a booking for the Macedonian. More importantly, time is ticking away. And the referee's assistant has intervened again. As Christoph walked away, he seemed to direct a comment at the official. And if that is the case, Keith Burge may have to reach for his pocket a second time. Having previously had a clean disciplinary record, the colour of this card is likely to match that of Christoph's shirt. And there is nothing more galling for a manager than having a player sent off for dissent. Not one offence, but two, within a minute. We're at the desperate throw stage of this game for Barnsley. Redfern. Even a point would be so valuable in their struggle for survival. Eden's cross, too close to goalkeeper Martin. David Watson prepares to clear, but doesn't have time. Poor A.D. Moses, who with 10 minutes to go headed a corner past his own goalkeeper. The 6th time this season that a goal in the last 10 minutes of a Premiership match has denied Barnsley a point. And those missing points could make all the difference. But for Barnsley, another defeat and they are running out of games.
There's one or two players didn't take enough responsibility today, and you know, what annoyed me more than anything, it's a big Yorkshire derby, you know, let alone what's at stake with points and what have you, you know, and I don't think we committed ourselves enough today to get anything out of the game.
And yet it was a Macedonian that got more fired up than anyone else, it seemed, at the end.
Yeah, I mean, that's frustration as well. It's a stupid sending off. I mean, in all honesty, I don't know why he's been sent off yet. I've had George's version, but the referee won't speak to me, so you know, I'll have to wait and see what it was, if anything, he said to the linesman.
Yeah, I think we've been a bit unfortunate again today, but you know, we can't keep saying it. We've got to start picking some points up now. We've got 6 games left, and to be fair, we need to win at least 3 of those now.
Barnsley are a lovely little club. They play some nice football. They've got their act together. Unfortunately, maybe a little bit late, and they're giving teams a bit of a scare now. But it doesn't look very good for them. But I've got a lot of admiration for them.
And in the dressing room, do you sense any diminution of the hope and the expectation that you will survive?
I did today, and that's the first time I've done today, and I've soon knocked that out of them, because at this stage of the season we can't feel sorry for ourselves. We're still in it, you know. The results today have gone kindly for us, if you like. Nobody's got a win around us, so it still gives us hope.
Only the people who are on board that flight can share what went on in the nicest possible way. And you know, I've heard people say, well, you've got to get on with it. I've felt fine since the incident, but that doesn't make me any better than somebody else who's feeling the effects. We're all made differently. Even as players, you're dealing with them through injuries. Some will get on the pitch on 90%, others need to be 100%. So, you know, we've had to keep an eye on a few. I don't want to mention names, but certain few have been quiet, and you've got to look after them. And, you know, I've heard a few people say, you know, you've got to get on with it. They've no right to say that because they weren't on board. The people who were there know what everybody went through, really.
David O'Leary putting things in context there. Leeds well worth their win today.
Yeah, I suppose it would have been a worry to George Graham exactly how the effects of Monday night were going to take on his players, but he needn't have worried. I think certainly in the first half I thought they were outstanding, certainly cool, playing off Hasselbank, caused Barnsley all sorts of problems, and if it wasn't for young Watson in the Barnsley goal, I think Leeds would have been 3 or 4 up at half-time. In saying that, you know, Barnsley scored with the first real attempt at goal. They go in half-time, and it looked, for the majority, they're going to hang on for a draw after, even by the words of the manager, not playing very well at all and not showing the spirit that they've shown lately.
Well, they'll fight on, but they just have to concentrate to the very end of the game.
Well, it's a problem for them, Ray, and I think, you know, even Barnsley fans looking at the last week will say, well, you know, look at the 3 games that we've had, and this was last Saturday against Liverpool. This is the last minute of the game. They've got themselves back in the game at 2-2. Poor defending, McManaman, so that's 1 point gone. They also, of course, lost 3 players sent off that day. This is in midweek, battled so hard at Blackburn. Again, mistakes in defence. Gallagher makes amends for that in terms of for Blackburn, and so that's another point gone. Here today, I mean, Moses, it's one of those things, he saw it very, very late. You know, it's come over a posse of defenders, and he just thought, I'll get myself in the way, try and clear it. It's gone in the back of the net. But it was only, I have to say, what Leeds deserved on the day.
Now, the stats, I'm told, 6 clean sheets in 32 games.
No.
So, really, they're always likely to concede, and there's the story.
Well, I think that today now is 73 conceded. And I think certainly last year Middlesbrough had the most against, which was 60. And, you know, looking at the first goal that they conceded today was a terrible goal to concede. From a corner, the ball gets swung in, and we stop it. There's Weatherall, look, nobody's near him. We've also circled Hasselbank. There's 7 or 8 red shirts in there, and that's criminal straight away. And Hasselbank only moves half a yard, gets his head on it. I mean, you know, 1, 2, should be at least 2 challenges, but everybody stood and watched. And I know they had 3 centre-backs who were relatively young today, but you cannot afford to defend like that in the Premier League.
How do you think Leeds are progressing under George Graham?
I'm sure the fans think they've won the lottery, because I think George said at the start of the season, yeah, we're going for Europe, and I'm sure in his own mind he's thinking, well, top half of the table, and we've done well after the last year really settling them down. I mean, what are they now, 4th? I think they've had an outstanding season, and in the lad Harry Kewell, I think they've got a big star of the future. You're sometimes reluctant to talk about players so young, but here he is. I mean, he played off Hasselbank today. This is his best feature. Left foot, all left foot, great crossing for Hasselbank. Just stretching and doesn't quite get there. Now we have the command performance here, the repeat. Again, gets the ball in space. Again, you know, level of criticism at Barnsley, where are they? But he gets his head up, for one so young, knows exactly where Hasselbank wants it, and he puts it in there. And, well, how Hasselbank doesn't score answers on a postcard, please, along with comments about Trevor and Raymond Vega. And then this really, you know, great. He waits for Kelly. He knows exactly where Kelly wants to deliver. This is his right foot. Super shot and an excellent save by Watson. But the thing about Kuhl as well, apparently, he's very, very level-headed. He can play anywhere, and he's probably the best of the Australians, the many Australians we've got in the Premier League at the moment.
Thanks, Mark. Seems the boy's a bit of a star.